There is a shift so powerful, so silent, so unmistakably real, that it rattles her deeper than any breakup ever could. The moment she realizes you've finally moved on, not physically, not publicly, but emotionally. This is the kind of shift she can feel, even from a distance. It's in the calmness of your tone, the steadiness of your presence, the absence of that old longing in your eyes. It's the quiet confidence that replaces the confusion you once carried. It's the way you no longer hesitate, no longer overthink, no longer orbit around her approval. And that's what hits her with a weight she never expected, because she didn't fear losing you physically. She feared losing the version of you who once made her feel significant, desired, powerful. She assumed you'd stay emotionally tethered to her forever, even after things ended. She assumed your heart would remain a place she could return to whenever her life felt empty. She assumed you'd hold space for her long after she stopped holding space for you. But when you truly move on, when you reclaim your energy, when your self-worth becomes non-negotiable, when your silence no longer hides heartbreak but reflects peace, your detachment becomes undeniable. And that's when her behavior shifts into something strange. The sudden curiosity, the unexpected awkwardness, the subtle jealousy, the random check-ins, all rooted in one shocking revelation. She no longer has emotional access to you. Before we peel back the deeper psychology behind why she acts this way when you finally move on, anchor your mindset right now by dropping a comment that says, "I choose my peace." And while you're here, like the video, subscribe, and turn on notifications to join the Stoic soldiers committed to mastery, growth, and unwavering self-respect. She never expected you to move on before she did. Not truly. In her mind, you were the stable one, the constant one, the man who cared too deeply to let go completely. She built an entire emotional blueprint around the assumption that you'd always be there in some capacity, even if she drifted, even if she explored other options, even if she acted distant or cold. She believed your loyalty meant permanence. She believed your softness meant dependence. She believed your patience meant you'd wait for her to figure herself out. And without ever saying it, she grew comfortable with the idea that you were the one person she could safely take for granted. Not because she didn't value you, but because she thought you'd never change. She assumed she had time to heal, time to explore, time to decide what she wanted. She assumed your feelings were a fixed point in the universe, something she could walk away from and return to whenever she pleased. So when you finally move on, when you stop looking backward and begin looking inward, it shatters her entire expectation of who you are. What she once mistook for weakness, she now realizes was loyalty. What she once saw as emotional dependence, she now sees as emotional depth. And when that constant disappears, when the man she assumed would always care finally chooses himself, the shock forces her into a strange, unfamiliar emotional territory she was never prepared to navigate. One of the most jarring things she experiences when you move on is the sudden absence of your attention. She never realized how much she relied on it, how much comfort she drew from knowing you still cared, still watched, still waited. Your attention wasn't just something she enjoyed, it was something she counted on. It fed her ego, reassured her worth, and made her feel desired without requiring her to fully invest back. But when you detach, when your texts slow down, when your tone becomes calmer and more distant, when you stop checking in, when you stop reacting to her ups and downs, she feels a void she didn't anticipate. Because losing a man's attention isn't about losing his compliments or care. It's about losing the emotional safety net she silently depended on. And that's why her behavior becomes strange. She doesn't know how to respond to the emptiness your absence creates. She may act confused, irritated, overly friendly, or completely withdrawn. She may appear curious one moment and cold the next. It doesn't make sense to her because she's experiencing something new, a life where your attention is gone, a world where she's no longer centered in your emotional universe. And underneath all of that, she realizes something deeper. Your attention wasn't just flattering, it was stabilizing. Losing it forces her to confront the truth that she wasn't prepared for. She didn't expect you to grow past her. This is where the shift hits her identity, not just her emotions. When you finally move on, it disrupts her ego in a way she never saw coming. See, part of her confidence, whether she admitted it or not, was built on the belief that she had a lasting impact on you, that she mattered enough to stay in your heart, even if she didn't stay in your life. She assumed she would always be a reference point, a memory that held weight, a presence you couldn't quite shake. But when your energy shifts, when you show peace instead of longing, purpose instead of pain, clarity instead of confusion, her self-image takes a hit. Suddenly she's faced with the possibility that she wasn't as irreplaceable in your life as she believed, and that realization creates a strange mix of emotions inside her. Confusion, jealousy, curiosity, regret, even competitiveness. She starts wondering when you changed, how you healed, and who might be inspiring this new version of you. Your growth forces her to reconsider the story she told herself about the breakup and about her place in your life. It makes her question her own value in a way she's not used to, and that disruption is exactly why her behavior becomes unpredictable. She isn't just reacting to you, she's reacting to the version of herself she sees, reflected back when you're finally no longer affected by her. Once she realizes you've moved on, a quiet comparison begins inside her. One she will never speak about, not to her friends, not to the new guy, not even to herself in an honest way. But it's there. It starts the moment she sees you smiling again, the moment she notices your energy has shifted, the moment she hears you're talking to someone else, or simply living a life she's no longer a part of. She starts comparing your growth to her own, your peace to her uncertainty, your progress to her stagnation. Even if she moved on first, even if she's seeing someone new, the comparison still happens, because she remembers how deeply you once cared, how consistently you once showed up, how stable and grounding your presence was, and anyone she meets now has to live in that shadow, whether she admits it or not. She compares how the new man listens versus how you listened, how he handles her emotions versus how you steadied them, how he communicates versus the way you brought clarity. The smallest shortcomings in him amplify the strength she overlooked in you. And each time she sees a gap, each time she feels a difference, she's reminded of what she lost, reminded that moving on doesn't erase a man's impact when that man was solid, intentional, and genuine. These comparisons are subtle, internal, and powerful, and they're exactly why she begins acting differently around you. You've become the standard she didn't realize she set for herself, and now every path forward runs through the memory of you. Jealousy isn't always loud. Sometimes it shows up in the smallest reactions, the quick glance at your story, the sudden interest in your life, the awkward energy when she hears your name. When you finally move on, something inside her gets activated, even if she no longer wants a relationship with you. It's the realization that you are no longer orbiting around her world. And when she senses that your attention, your affection, your emotional investment is now pointed somewhere else, or even toward your own growth, jealousy hits her in a strange, unexpected way. It's not just about another woman. It's about her losing a certain emotional influence over you. She starts wondering who you're talking to, who you're giving your time to, who you're offering the version of yourself she used to benefit from. That curiosity turns into tension. That tension turns into overthinking. That overthinking shows up in her behavior. The awkward messages, the sudden friendliness, the coldness followed by warmth, the random story likes, the unexpected check-ins. She might act irritated when you seem happy or overly cheerful when you seem distant. It doesn't make sense on the surface, but jealousy rarely does. What she's really reacting to is the fact that she no longer feels chosen, no longer feels central, no longer feels special in your world. And seeing you move on forces her to confront a truth her ego hates. She didn't expect you to heal without looking back. Even if she acted like she was done, even if she moved on first, even if she told herself you weren't the one, there is a moment when fear creeps in. The fear of being replaced. Not replaced as a partner, but replaced as a memory. Replaced as an emotional reference point. Replaced as someone who mattered. She always believed she left an imprint on you, that some part of you would always carry her, always wait for her, always compare others to her. But when she sees that you're genuinely moving forward, genuinely changing, genuinely becoming stronger and more grounded, she realizes something she never allowed herself to consider. You might give the best version of yourself to someone else, and that terrifies her. She imagines another woman receiving your patience, your loyalty, your discipline, your emotional steadiness, all the qualities she didn't fully appreciate. She imagines someone else being comforted by your presence, strengthened by your leadership, supported by your calm. She imagines another woman experiencing the version of you she helped shape but never valued. And that fear doesn't appear as sadness. It appears as strange behavior, inconsistent messages, sudden coldness, sudden warmth, jealousy, curiosity, or attempts to subtly pull you back in. Because deep down, she knows something she never admitted aloud. She didn't expect to lose her place in your heart, or her place in your story. And now, she fears you're writing a new one without her. There comes a moment, quiet, heavy and unmistakable, when she finally understands that you're not waiting for her anymore. It's not something you say. It's not something you post. It's not even something you intentionally show. It's simply the way you carry yourself now, lighter, clearer, freer. She sees it in your eyes. The tension she once caused is gone. She hears it in your voice. The hesitation she depended on has vanished. She notices it in your actions. You're building a life that doesn't revolve around what she's doing or how she feels. And that realization shakes her because it wasn't part of her plan. She always assumed she'd have time. She thought you'd hold the door open indefinitely, just in case she wanted to return to the connection when it was convenient. She never imagined you'd actually close it. So when she sees you living, growing, healing, smiling, without her presence, without her approval, without her influence, it creates a strange mix of emotions inside her. Part of her feels confused. Part of her feels left behind. Part of her feels like she misread your strength entirely. And part of her wonders how she lost a man who used to be emotionally tethered to her. That's why her behavior becomes unpredictable. She's trying to make sense of a version of you she never expected to meet. A man who has moved on not out of anger, but out of evolution. A man who isn't looking back because he finally knows his worth. Once she feels you've truly moved on, she often tries to reinsert herself into your life, but never directly, never openly, and never with full honesty. It shows up in small, calculated ways. She might view your stories more often, hoping you'll notice. She might like an old photo, pretending it was an accident. She might send a casual message that means nothing on the surface but everything underneath. She may ask mutual friends about you, appear in places she knows you go, or suddenly act overly friendly in public. These behaviors aren't random. They are quiet attempts to see whether she still has emotional access to you. Because the moment she senses that your heart no longer gravitates toward her, a part of her panics, not because she wants a relationship again, but because she doesn't like the feeling of being erased. She wants to know she still matters, still exists, still holds some thread in your story. But the irony is this: her attempts reveal everything she tried to hide. They reveal that your detachment affected her more than she expected. They reveal that she underestimated your strength. They reveal that moving on was never her plan for you. It was only her plan for herself. And now that she sees the door closing, really closing, she tries to step back in before it locks. But what she doesn't realize is that you've outgrown the version of yourself she remembers. She's not trying to return to you. She's trying to return to the man she once took for granted. And that man doesn't exist anymore. And now we reach the truth at the core of why she acts so strange when you finally move on. Because your growth forces her to face everything she avoided, denied, or ignored. Your evolution becomes a mirror she didn't ask for, reflecting her choices, her mistakes, and her assumptions. When you move on with grace, not bitterness, not revenge, not games, but true emotional maturity, you become something she can't easily categorize anymore. You're no longer the man waiting in the background, hoping for her attention. You're the man walking forward with purpose, grounded in a peace that doesn't depend on her affection. That alone disrupts every story she told herself about you. Stoic reflection means understanding this deeply. Her reaction is not a sign for you to return, regress, or reopen old wounds. Her reaction is simply evidence of the impact you once had and the power you've reclaimed. She acts strange because she expected you to remain the same. But Stoic men don't stay stuck, they rise. You've stepped into a version of yourself that no longer needs validation from the past to build the future. You are no longer guided by longing, but by clarity. You are no longer shaped by heartbreak, but by discipline. And as we close this message, anchor your new identity by commenting, "I choose my future." Make sure you like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications to join the Brotherhood of Stoic Soldiers, men who move with intention, strength, and unwavering self-respect. Thank you for watching, and thank you for choosing your growth over your past.